This week's podcast features a number of interviews we conducted in Romania during the xDay conference hosted by Multiverse X. In this episode, we will discuss the current state of Multiverse X, the transition from Elrond, crypto adoption in Romania, universal ZK rollups and its benefits, upcoming trends and narratives, challenges laying ahead for Multiverse X, and much more. But first, Beniamin will introduce us to xDay.
xDay is probably one of the largest Web3 conferences in Europe, probably one of the largest conferences done at the intersection of Web3 or blockchain, AI, and the metaverse. It's definitely one of the most interesting, we're super high quality people. It's not only focused on Multiverse X, there is a broad focus on the most ambitious builders that are building on our technology, but there are also some very, very important conversations that are meant to build bridges with some of the most important regulators, some of the most important and largest companies, tech companies in the world, and partners for many, many ecosystems. So we want xDay to be probably one of the most interesting and ambitious platforms in Europe to explore ideas and startups at this frontier. If we look at everything we've achieved, it is through technology that we've achieved it. Technology has enabled us to differentiate ourselves from other species on this planet. And we are at the point where we've achieved a lot of milestones, but there's a tremendous opportunity to improve a lot more. And especially if we look at blockchain, artificial intelligence, and spatial computing as technologies. These are technologies that are right now at almost a tipping point. You can see them taking roots, but the most important part becomes building these bridges, the bridges that take the technologies and put them in the hands of the users, the bridges that are essentially applications that we can use in our day-to-day lives. And so this has been the focus of the conversation, where everything that we're doing during these 3 days is just different bridges, whether it's applications, whether it's startups, whether it's conversations with 3 ministers of countries, whether it's conversations with Google, Amazon, Tencent, and Telecom and Axelar, or whether it's conversations with Alex Tabarrok, which is a famous economist from the US, or other builders that will be showcasing everything they've been building in the hackathon they participated at. So this is just a very, very exciting concentration of energy that is meant to accelerate whatever we're doing that will, I think, have a very significant impact on the world in a positive sense.
Roughly a year ago, Elrond rebranded to Multiverse X. Can you tell us about this transition and how the past year has been since the rebrand?
So it was not a rebrand, it was much more a repositioning or a kind of refounding moment where we looked at what might some of the fundamental technologies be that will be extremely important during the next 10, 20, 30 years. Looking through that lens, we of course looked at blockchain, we looked at AI and spatial computing, and repositioned everything to the point where we said it's not the metaverse, it's the multiverse. So it's this idea of having several worlds and then being at the intersection of worlds where we will explore many ideas, but just one at a time in a way that brings the most value to the people around us. I believe Romania is in a unique and exceptional position in Europe, both because it's very competitive at this point from a fiscal and tax standpoint. So this makes it very interesting compared to some of the other countries. Second, it is in the EU. In the EU, there is some clear regulation with respect to crypto, blockchain, and all of that. And so this just gives you a premise for some conversations. We've worked for 5 years now to actually have these conversations with the ministers and so forth. While they're open, they also want to see progress, substance, and all of that. And I believe that the magic with these conversations is always to make sure that the other part is understanding what's at stake. What would be the benefits that the country can get if they leverage this technology, if they attract more builders, if they attract more startups. So at this point, Romania is very well positioned, but this is also a call to action to continue on this path and make really significant progress, because all the builders, especially in the US and some other countries, are looking for better alternatives than what's currently happening there.
What do you think will be the catalyst for the next bull market?
The catalyst will be adoption. I think what we have and are presenting with xDay is a series of ecosystem upgrades that have to do with the network, like this literally becoming the most advanced network in the world. It already is. It's live, it's decentralized, but then we're improving it even further. That's one thing. Then the ecosystem, there's a lot of projects that are building and now showcasing what they've built. Then some products like the X-Portal app, like the X-Fabric app, so forth, that will be presented today and will add a lot more usage and excitement for some of the users and ecosystem at the same time. But then also the idea of having these bridges built with the largest tech companies in the world. We've worked actually for years to come to a point where the minister of countries come and are part of the conversation. That type of dialogue is not something small or something that can be taken for granted. It's actually a very significant milestone that just signals the type of conversations that we're having. Now, interestingly enough, tomorrow we'll also have some conversations on regulation, the regulatory landscape. And part of that conversation will be Deloitte. Again, very important partner that we're building with and so forth. And lastly, I would just mention that many of the pieces are coming together in the MultiverseX ecosystem, such that when you look at a kind of vertically integrated solution that has the performance of the protocol, has a UX application that is unparalleled in the entire space, but then also has a community and ecosystem that's vibrant, that just pushes the boundaries on building really exciting application. I think we're very close to an exciting milestone that once xDay passes will just become very obvious. When does the bear market end? That's up for the market to decide, but what we can do is considerably accelerate that point by bringing adoption. As soon as we have the next clear wave of adoption, the market will probably shift very significantly. A few really important points will probably continue to matter even more. One, interoperability. And for MultiverseX, we're going to announce something really exciting and fundamental with one of the biggest players in interoperability. Second, zero-knowledge proofs and zero-knowledge rollups will become the, let's say, gold standards in terms of further scaling, whatever scaling solutions exist, and privacy. They already are the standard. It's just about making sure that they're fast enough and inexpensive enough to be used at scale. And then probably one of the most important threads that we'll focus on is this idea of user experience. It seems that people love the technical memes and narratives a lot, but they've not discovered that one of the most underscored and highest opportunity that is limiting the number of users that are coming in the space, interacting with the technologies, with the applications and so forth, is in fact user experience. So having an Apple-like user experience creates an edge unlike any other. And I think later today you'll see what I mean if you watch the X-Portal presentation. I've already mentioned that it is open source, decentralized, and the kind of gold standard in terms of scalability. But we're now taking that even to a higher level. So a lot more improvements are coming with the next releases, aiming some super crazy numbers. We have several shards processing everything in parallelization. But then at this point, we're processing something like 30,000 transactions per shard, and we're pushing to bring this to 100,000 per shard. Now, we can grow the number of shards to an arbitrarily large number already, but what I mean is even parallelization within the shard will just supercharge the throughput and also the latency that the network will have. Then, of course, there are several other upgrades that have to do with staking phase 4, other improvements within the tooling space, or other improvements even within the VM. The virtual machine gets an improvement with different standards, and a very significant improvement for the framework that is being used to write smart contracts on Multiverse X. That's just one way of looking at it, but then at the same time, when you look at how this translates downstream to the startups, to the large companies with which we're interacting, and I was mentioning before, you start getting the bigger picture of how important these 3 days are for building the bridges. Take a look at what we're building, what we're sharing, and just notice how much of a next level this is compared to almost everything that's being built in the space. And then to what this points, because it's very fascinating to look at the current point, but even more interesting to look at the trajectory. And with Multiverse X, we've had extraordinary progress, and with xDay, it's just this very significant acceleration point that brings everything together.